It's November 22nd, 2025, Saturday. Okay, I'm going back to 2015 for a little while. It's around springtime. My mother and I have our birthdays in the spring. We're both born on April 10th. That's kind of rare, but it happens. That gives me extra abilities and gifts and all kinds of stuff. She's already gifted. She was born stillbirth, blah, blah, blah. We can go on about all that for a long time. We got to get to this story because I don't have a lot of time. I got to keep it under 10 minutes. Okay, so my niece, she's in Italy at the time. Now, my mom's kind of sad at this time. She wants my niece back in our city, London. I'm allowed to say this. My niece is living in Italy, and she's been there a little bit of time already. So I said, Ma, I don't know if I can do this. And she goes, you can do anything. Because at that particular time, my mom, right from then on, since I saved my uncle from the heart attack and all that stuff, he didn't even need an operation. And I told her exactly what was going to happen. And it took a long process to do this, and she knows that. So I said, this is different. I can't change a person's will of leaving where they're living to come back to where they're from. And she goes, you can do anything. I said, Ma, I will try. Because she was really sad about this. Like, it really upset her because her niece is my oldest sister's only daughter. And, she lived with us when she was born at the farm where we all lived. And she just wanted her back because she was getting even jealous about my aunts and uncles in Italy. We have a lot of relatives in Italy, and they all loved her to death. She's a very sweet girl, very nice, very kind and understanding, and gifted. The young lady was born in the sack. That means when she came out of the womb, she was, not touched. It was, you know what I mean? I don't know if you know that, but that's a gifted person. And she was also born in August, near the end of August, I think it was the 30th, and that also makes her gifted as well for being a person that is born near when the harvest is being done. So she'll be with food most of her life. She'll have a gift working with food. Now these all come to play later on in her life, but she even worked at a fast food place for a while. I used to drive through there with a whole bunch of my friends, and we used to try to tip her, but they don't take tips at where the fast food place where she was. But anyway, as I go on with my mom, I'm talking to her, and I said, I will try. I will really try. I'll give it my best. Because I like to make my mom happy, and this is one of her wishes. And she doesn't ask too much of me. In fact, she gives me anything I want. So I'm going to try to do this. So I astroplane to Italy. I do a lot of this little stuff, but I also need a connection. Because if I don't know where she is, then I can't find her. So my mom would streamline talking to Italy all the time. And a few times we would talk to my niece while she was there. And I was able to get a connection and get there and try to give her some thoughts about coming back home with the people that she was around. Now, this process took a bit of time, but eventually it worked. And I was more surprised than anybody else. And she ended up coming back and living with us. Now, the second part of this is she's going to need employment, and good employment in order to stay here, because she'll take off again because she's like that. She likes to travel and everything and find good employment and, live a good life. And I understand that totally. Her mother, too, wants her to be here, but her mother wants her to be happy as well. Now, all these things is very hard to do, but I'm going to try my best. Now, in order for her to achieve the goals she needs to achieve here, I have to have a type of communication with her. Now, we used to live on the second or third floor, and we used to communicate. She loved scary movies. I love scary movies. We watched scary movies together once in a while, but that wouldn't have been enough. We would need to have some type of conflict in order to resolve the conflict, in order to achieve the goal some that she needed. And in order to do this, I would need a familiar. That means like some type of animal. And I can't pick it. It has to come to me. It has to be given to me. And these are all just weird things. That how am I going to accomplish this? So, believe it or not, one of the young ladies that I knew that I did readings on had a cat, and she was getting let's say, dismissed from her place of residence, or she can't live there anymore. So she would have to get rid of the cat. And she was crying to me that she doesn't want to put it down. She wants to give it a good home, but she only has a month to do so because she has to get out of this place in a month. And she has to go back to her parents' place, and her parents are not allowing her to bring one pet. Well, she had two pets, a cat and a dog. She'd bring the cat or the dog. She took the dog. And she says, Birdy, can you take the cat for me? I did take the cat. And I figured out that this cat I was allergic to, but I didn't know I was allergic to cats. Brought it home. Me and my niece are living upstairs, and I started having eye irritations, scratching, stuff like that, sneezing, coughing. I said, what am I going to do? But I also knew that this was a familiar and an opportunity for me to use this situation with my niece, and she would help me find a good home for this cat. And it took months and months. And as this was going on, the conflict that we had was I would be watching a television program in the evening, and she'd be trying to go to bed, and it would be too loud for her. And that was the conflict. The resolve of the conflict would have been the familiar of the cat. And everything had to be done without the consciousness of us knowing this. Even I did not know that this consciousness was happening, but I knew it had to happen. It's kind of hard to understand. But anyway, it worked. She found a home for the cat, saving me, and then I was able to give her some type of magical gifts in order for her to achieve the goals she needed to achieve. She probably would have achieved them on her own 100%, but I needed to be done quickly in case she changed her mind again and took off. And that would have made my mother upset, my sister upset, and then I would have failed in the process of trying to do these things. And I knew if I achieved these goals, she would stay and have, somewhat of a happiness. Happiness is a fleeting moment, remember that. But anyway, she ended up having a relationship as well. Now we go to 2019, my mom passes away. And she asked me once again, she goes, Birdy, what's going to happen? I says, well, we're going to live on and we're going to be okay. Everything will work out. You'll be successful. And I told her you'll have two paths in a few years to decide what you're going to do. She didn't understand, and she wanted to know the idea of which path to take. Now, freedom will, I don't know which path she was going to take, but I knew that she would pick the right path. And she says, well, what is the right path? And I said, you'll have no choice. It'll be a path that you have to take. And then she didn't get it. Neither did I, actually. But let's go to the present right now. The path she would have to take, because she had a conflict with a relationship and advancement. And the relationship, she tried. She gave it all she could. And I guess that's not what it was supposed to be. And then she took the path to advancement in her career. And being born where she's born, her career was in food, a type of foods. And I knew that would be special for her no matter what, and she would excel in this. As a child, she worked with a fast food place. So think about it. If you're working in this situation, you will excel in it. The relationship that she was involved with is two people. It's not just one. And those are very difficult. Why they said the word relationship, I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on this, but it's a Greek word which means wrestling. So the path she took was moving on up. And now she's living in a different province, in a high rise. And as far as I know, she's doing well. She's not always 100% happy, but she's content, I think. And this story is mostly about her and my mom and her mom and myself, I guess. And believe it or not, this is what happened. And I hope she likes this one. All right, Birdy signing off.